History is riddled with rulers whose reigns mirror Nero's descent into madness, cruelty, and excess, leaving their realms scarred and their names cursed. I'll narrate the chilling tales of three such figures. These rulers, like Nero, wielded power with a blend of paranoia, sadism, and delusion, their stories etched in blood and dread. In the marble halls of Rome, where Nero's specter would later roam, Gaius, known as Caligula, rose to power just 2 decades earlier, a boy emperor whose reign began with hope but ended in a nightmare of lunacy. Crowned at 24 and 37 AD, he was hailed as the son of the beloved Germanicus. His early months marked by generosity, freeing prisoners, burning treason records, and showering the masses with coin. But beneath his youthful charm, a darkness stirred, festering like a plague. By his second year, Caligula's mind unraveled. Some whispered of a fever that broke his sanity. Others saw a soul always rotten. He declared himself a living god, demanding worship, his statue erected in temples, even plotting to place one in Jerusalem's holy sanctum, daring sacrilege. His whims turned lethal. At banquets, he'd laugh as he ordered senators' executions. Their heads served to him like trophies. He forced wives of nobles into his bed, humiliating their husbands who dared not protest. His horse, Incitatus, was named a senator, stabled in marble with ivory troughs, a grotesque mockery of Rome's dignity. The streets of Rome became a theater of horror. He spent the treasury into ruin, then extorted and murdered the wealthy to refill it. Citizens were forced to attend his chariot races, where he raced himself, delighting in crashes that mangled rivals. Stories tell of him ordering men thrown to wild beasts for amusement or slicing open a pregnant woman to see the child. When his sister Drusilla died, he deified her, but his grief twisted into paranoia, seeing traitors in every shadow. In 41 AD, after 4 years of terror, his own Praetorian guard cornered him in a palace corridor, stabbing him to death as he screamed for his divine status to save him. His body was burned in secret, but his name became a synonym for madness, a ghost that still haunts Rome's ruins. In the shadowed forests of 15th century Wallachia, Vlad III, known as Dracula, ruled with a cruelty that birthed legends of the undead. Born in 1431, he was forged in hardship, a hostage to the Ottoman Turks in his youth, where betrayal and brutality shaped his heart into iron. When he claimed Wallachia's throne, his reign was a storm of vengeance. His name synonymous with impalement, a punishment so vile it chilled even hardened warriors. Vlad's enemies, both foreign and domestic, faced a fate worse than death. He invited disloyal boyars, Wallachia's nobles, to a feast, only to have them seized, impaled on stakes, their bodies left to rot as a warning. Forests of skewered corpses lined his roads, Turks and traitors alike, their screams echoing as crows feasted. One tale speaks of 20,000 Ottoman prisoners impaled in a single day, their bodies a grotesque gallery to terrify invaders. He dined among the dying, sipping wine as blood pooled at his feet, his cold eyes gleaming with satisfaction. His paranoia rivaled Nero's. He burned entire villages suspected of disloyalty, boiling peasants alive or forcing mothers to eat their own children. When foreign envoys refused to remove their hats, he had them nailed to their skulls. Yet Vlad saw himself as a righteous crusader, defending Christendom against the Ottomans, his sadism cloaked in piety. By 1462, his enemies closed in. Betrayed and captured, he returned briefly in 1476, only to be killed. His head sent to the Ottoman Sultan as a trophy. His body vanished, and legends of Dracula, the vampire, arose from the terror he sowed, his spirit seemingly too monstrous to die. In the frozen vastness of 16th century Russia, Ivan IV, dubbed the Terrible, carved a reign of dread that made the Kremlin's walls tremble. Crowned Tsar at 16 in 1547, he began as a reformer, uniting Russia's fractured lands. But like Nero, his soul darkened with time, poisoned by betrayal and a mind that saw enemies in every glance. By his 20s, he was a tyrant whose rages reshaped a nation in blood. Ivan's terror began with the Oprichnina, a secret police force cloaked in black, riding with dogs' heads on their saddles to sniff out treason. They swept through towns, slaughtering nobles, priests, and peasants alike. In Novgorod, suspecting rebellion, Ivan unleashed a massacre in 1570, where thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, were tortured, drowned in icy rivers, or burned alive. Men were roasted on spits, children torn from mothers, their bodies piled in streets as Ivan watched, his face a mask of divine wrath. His cruelty spared no one. He beat his pregnant daughter-in-law, causing a miscarriage, and when his son confronted him, Ivan struck him dead with his staff, weeping only after the deed. His court lived in fear, nobles forced to grovel or face execution on whims. He married 8 times, his wives vanishing into convents or graves. Ivan believed himself God's instrument, yet his paranoia saw plots everywhere. his confessions scrawled in letters begging forgiveness from a heaven that seemed deaf. When he died in 1584, clutching a chessboard, Russia was a husk, its people broken, its fields soaked in blood. His name, like Nero's, became a curse, a tale told to frighten the living. These rulers, Caligula, Vlad, and Ivan, share Nero's hallmarks: early promise devoured by paranoia, cruelty cloaked in divine or righteous purpose, and reigns that left their lands haunted. Each wielded absolute power, twisting it into spectacles of horror. From Caligula, S deification, to Vlad, S forests of stakes, to Ivan, S rivers of blood. Their stories, drawn from historical accounts like Suetonius for Caligula, contemporary chronicles for Vlad, and Russian annals for Ivan, are tinged with bias and legend, yet the core of their terror is undeniable. Unlike Nero, whose art was his obsession, Caligula craved divinity. Vlad vengeance and Ivan divine judgment, but all left legacies of fear.